Beloved soul, pause for just a moment right now. Take a slow breath and settle into this moment, because what has been placed before your eyes today is not here by accident. Heaven has gently guided your steps to this message at this exact season of your life. Something is changing around you even now. It may seem quiet on the outside, almost impossible to notice with your natural eyes, yet the angels are declaring that what is happening beneath the surface carries far greater power than anything you can currently understand. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear may explain everything you have been wondering about. If you want to know what truly begins to happen when you stop chasing, take a second to like this video right now. You did not argue. You did not beg. You did not send one last message trying to explain your heart or defend your position. You simply became still. You stopped chasing. You stopped pouring your energy into someone who had become completely comfortable receiving it without returning it with the same care. And beloved, in that quiet, brave decision, something ancient and deeply guided by God began to move in ways you may not yet fully recognize. The person who once felt certain that you would always be there is now standing inside a silence they never expected. The warmth you offered so freely, the attention you gave every single day, the emotional support you extended without holding back, all of it has been pulled away. They do not experience it through conflict or dramatic words. They experience it through absence. And absence, beloved, carries a spiritual and emotional weight that no argument could ever produce. Right now, whether you realize it or not, they are thinking. They are questioning. They are feeling emotions they never expected because for the first time, they are facing life without your constant effort keeping the connection alive. That changes everything. Keep watching because the next part reveals why this silence has far more influence than you may imagine. When you stop chasing someone, the change that follows is rarely loud, but it is deeply real, both spiritually and emotionally. Before this moment, the connection was being held together mostly by your effort, your messages, your kindness, your emotional availability, your willingness to always show up. That steady flow of energy moved toward them day after day, creating a one-sided momentum that kept everything going. That momentum placed them in a position where they never had to stop and ask difficult questions. They never had to decide what they truly wanted. They never had to examine their own feelings honestly or face the reality of their responsibility within the relationship, because your energy kept filling every empty space before they even noticed it. God created the human heart to seek, to choose, and to pursue what truly matters. But when one person carries all the seeking and all the pursuing for both people, the other never enters the process that produces genuine commitment. They remained inside the connection without offering equal investment. And a relationship that survives only because one person keeps carrying it is not built on lasting agreement. It is built on comfort and convenience. If this speaks to your journey, leave the word "stopped" in the comments, because someone else may need this reminder today. The moment you stepped back, the entire structure quietly began to change. Not because you created conflict, not because you forced a difficult conversation, simply because you removed the effort that had been holding an unhealthy imbalance in place for far too long. What once felt secure and predictable to them now feels uncertain and unfamiliar. The human heart naturally becomes uneasy whenever something meaningful suddenly feels at risk. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us to guard our hearts above everything else, because everything we do flows from that place. Beloved, when you stopped chasing, you started protecting your heart. And as you did, heaven began doing what only heaven can accomplish. It started bringing hidden truth into the light. Before your silence, their attention remained passive. They received your care without feeling any real need to respond with the same level of effort. They believed your presence would always remain. Your consistency had quietly become their comfort zone, but now your absence has awakened their attention. For the first time, They are noticing the empty space. This is not random. It is part of God's perfect timing.
The human mind quickly becomes used to what is always available.
But the moment that steady presence disappears, everything changes. Your silence interrupted their expectations. It created space where quiet questions are now beginning to grow. They replay past conversations. They wonder whether something has shifted. They search for answers they never felt the need to seek before. God is using this interruption to awaken areas of their heart that had become comfortable through routine. Stay with me, because what happens next often surprises people in ways they never expect.
1 Corinthians 14:33
reminds us that God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. The uncertainty they now feel was not created by your silence. It was created by the imbalance that had existed for so long. While you were chasing, you carried a burden that never belonged to you. Now your quietness has made that imbalance impossible to ignore. Suddenly the connection asks something from them that it never required before. It asks for initiative. It asks for honesty. It asks for effort. That can feel deeply uncomfortable when someone has grown used to simply receiving. Your attention had become like a mirror, reflecting their importance without requiring them to earn it. Now that mirror is no longer standing before them. They must face what they overlooked and what they slowly took for granted. Psalm 37:23 tells us that the steps of the righteous are directed by the Lord. Your decision to become still was not weakness.
It was a step ordered by God,
so truth could finally be revealed. Heaven is now using your choice to stop chasing to bring forward 3 powerful spiritual discoveries. The first is the exposure of the imbalance that had remained hidden for far too long. While you continued giving everything, the unequal nature of the relationship stayed covered beneath your constant effort. Now that your energy has been withdrawn, the reality stands in full view. Nothing is hiding it anymore. And sometimes that moment of truth becomes the very beginning of everything God has been preparing all along.
They are gently brought to a place where they can finally see how little they gave compared to everything you carried.
They begin to notice how often you reached out first, how many conversations you started, and how much emotional weight rested on your shoulders alone. That realization creates a level of honesty that is necessary before real healing can ever begin. At the same time, your silence creates a stillness where emotions become impossible to ignore. Instead of being distracted by your constant presence, they are left alone with their own thoughts. They are forced to face what they truly feel about you without depending on your effort to keep the connection alive. Then comes one of the greatest moments of truth. The responsibility for moving the relationship forward no longer belongs to you. It belongs completely to them.
Their decision now reveals who they truly are, because someone who sincerely values your place in their life will not allow meaningful silence to continue forever without making an honest effort. Stay with me, because what comes next explains why this moment is so important. This is where heaven begins revealing something much deeper than feelings alone. It begins revealing character. And character always speaks louder than promises. Not everyone responds to absence in the same way.
The way someone reacts when you become quiet reveals the true level of their emotional and spiritual maturity more clearly than almost anything else. A person who is genuinely capable of healthy, lasting love will not immediately become defensive when your attention is no longer available. Instead, they will sit with the discomfort. They will honestly examine their own actions instead of protecting their pride. They will ask themselves difficult questions. They will resist the temptation to avoid uncomfortable answers. But someone who is not yet emotionally ready often reacts very differently. They may distance themselves even more just to protect their own ego. They may convince themselves that the relationship never mattered as much as it truly did while you were fully present. They may quietly wait for you to return to old habits instead of finding the courage to take a step toward you themselves.
Their response, beloved,
becomes one of the clearest signs heaven places before you. It quietly shows whether this person is prepared for the kind of faithful and balanced love God desires for your life during this season. Watch closely because the next truth may completely change the way you see this connection.
Your silence also reveals what they genuinely feel about you.
When you were always present, your steady love and constant effort may have been supporting emotions that depended more on your energy than on their own heart. But once your presence is no longer filling every empty space, that outside support disappears. What remains is the honest reality of their feelings without your effort influencing them. If their care for you is real, your absence often causes those emotions to grow even stronger. They begin missing you not simply because you were familiar or comfortable, but because you are a unique person whose place cannot easily be replaced. They slowly realize what your presence truly added to their life, something they may never have fully appreciated while it was always available. On the other hand, if their feelings were only shallow, if they depended mostly on the comfort of your availability instead of genuine love, then that truth also becomes impossible to hide.
Either outcome is a blessing, beloved.
Truth may not always feel easy, but it is always better than living inside an illusion that keeps you waiting for something that was never meant to last. Keep listening because what happens inside your own heart during this silence is just as powerful.
Beloved,
this is something the angels want you to hold close within your spirit. The silence you have chosen is not only working in their heart, it is also quietly transforming yours. It creates room for God to speak to you without the constant noise of chasing, worrying, and overthinking filling every corner of your mind. When you stop sending all of your emotional energy towards someone who is not meeting you with the same willingness, that energy slowly begins returning to you. God then uses that restored strength to heal the places that have been quietly drained over time. He sharpens your ability to recognize truth. He strengthens your wisdom. He prepares your heart for what is genuinely waiting ahead. Isaiah 30:15 reminds us that in returning and rest is our salvation, and in quietness and trust is our strength. Your silence has never been weakness. It has always been strength, even when it felt difficult during long seasons of waiting.
stay until the end because one final truth ties everything together in a way many people never expect.
Your silence also removes what was never meant to remain. If this person is not truly part of God's lasting plan for your life, if this relationship was never meant to become a faithful and lasting bond, then your quietness will slowly make that truth impossible to ignore. Not through arguments, not through dramatic endings, not through endless pain. It happens through simple revelation. What does not belong will naturally begin to fall away once your constant effort is no longer holding it together. A closed door is never proof that God has forgotten you. More often, it is His protection leading you away from something that cannot give you the future He has prepared. What leaves your life to create space for something better is not simply loss. It is preparation. It is making room for what is real. When your pursuit finally ends and your energy changes direction, the person on the other side often enters a season of emotional and spiritual unrest, even if they appear completely calm to everyone around them. The angels want you to understand what that hidden struggle often looks like, because recognizing it will keep you from misunderstanding what is quietly taking place between you. Their first response is rarely simple, it is rarely immediate, and it is almost never as clear as it appears on the surface. That is why what happens next becomes one of the most revealing stages of the entire journey.
Instead, their first response usually appears as a quiet mixture of confusion, growing curiosity, and a gentle anxiety that slowly builds beneath the surface of everyday life. Confusion is often where everything begins. They had become used to a certain emotional and spiritual pattern between the two of you, a familiar rhythm where your presence, your attention, and your energy always flowed toward them. That rhythm gave them a sense of stability, even if they never fully recognized it or appreciated it while it was there. Once that stability disappears, something inside them struggles to settle. Their mind begins asking questions that refuse to disappear. Why did everything suddenly change? What caused this shift? Did they say something wrong? Did they fail to notice something important?
Have you changed? Or have they changed without realizing it? Those questions continue turning over in their thoughts without reaching clear answers. That endless circle of wondering creates a discomfort that becomes harder and harder to ignore. Stay with me because the next part explains why this stage matters more than most people ever realize. It is often the beginning of a much deeper awakening that cannot be rushed or forced. What happens after the silence settles and honest reflection truly begins is not decided simply by circumstances. It is shaped by the condition of the person's own heart. Your absence creates the space, but what grows inside that space depends completely on their emotional and spiritual maturity. Someone with genuine maturity does not simply react to the discomfort your silence creates. They pause. They become still. They look inward instead of searching everywhere else for answers. They become curious not only about what happened between the two of you, but also about the role they personally played in the relationship. When they begin feeling the weight of your absence, they do not immediately look for someone to blame or create excuses that protect their pride. Instead, they slowly begin asking themselves difficult questions. How much did they truly invest? How honestly did they communicate their feelings? Did they value the connection while they still had the opportunity? Did they appreciate your presence, or simply assume it would always remain? These questions bring a quiet sense of responsibility that they may never have accepted before. Instead of focusing only on what they might be losing, they begin recognizing what they never gave while the opportunity was still in front of them. Keep watching because what happens next often reveals whether their heart is truly changing or simply reacting to discomfort. From that place of honest self-awareness, their actions begin to look different. If they truly value what existed between you, they will move with purpose rather than impulse. They will not reach out simply to remove their own discomfort or to fill an empty space. They will move because something inside them has genuinely changed. But beloved, after you have prayed, after you have surrendered the outcome to God, the angels want to speak to something many people quietly carry inside, but rarely say out loud. Once you stop chasing, once you become still, once you truly place the outcome into God's hands, it is natural to expect everything to happen quickly. Many people believe the answer should appear immediately. They expect the silence to produce instant clarity and visible results. But God's ways unfold through seasons, not hurried moments. Just as a seed planted carefully into the earth does not become a strong tree overnight, the clarity surrounding your future is growing slowly, intentionally, and according to perfect timing that only heaven fully understands. Do not mistake a quiet season for an empty season. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Stay until the end, because this next truth may bring peace to your heart. God is working even when your eyes cannot yet see the evidence. He is working within them, gently stirring their heart, revealing hidden truth, and bringing attention to things they have avoided for far too long. At the same time, He is working within you. He is restoring the places that became tired. He is strengthening the areas that became weak through constant striving. He is preparing your spirit so that when the right opportunity arrives, you will have the strength and peace to receive it fully. He is also working in ways that reach beyond both of you. He is arranging circumstances, removing what does not belong, making room for what does, and directing every step according to His perfect plan. If someone comes to your mind while hearing this, share this message with them, because they may need this reminder today. Habakkuk 2:3 tells us that the vision is for an appointed time. Though it may seem slow from a human point of view, we are told to wait because it will surely come, and it will not arrive late. What God has prepared for your life has already been established. It already has its appointed season. It will never come before the right moment, but it will never miss that moment either. Keep listening because this final part speaks directly to the deepest fear many people carry. Beloved, trust heaven's timing even when it feels slower than you hoped, even when the silence lasts longer than expected, even when your emotions tempt you to reach out one more time just to escape the uncertainty. In those moments, return to the promise found in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend only on your own understanding. In every part of your life acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. That promise belongs to you in this very season and in this very silence. The angels also want to speak gently to something hidden beneath the surface of why so many people return to chasing even after they know they should stop. It is the fear of being alone. The fear that if this relationship does not work out, no one else will ever come. The fear that this person was the very best life had to offer. The fear that waiting will only lead to more waiting until loneliness becomes permanent. If those thoughts have quietly visited your heart, hear this clearly. Those thoughts do not come from heaven. They are whispers designed to keep you living beneath the future God has prepared for you. They encourage fear instead of faith. They invite you to settle instead of trust. But heaven calls you to something greater, something healthier, and something far more beautiful than anything fear could ever promise.